Good morning, the internet, and good morning to my subscriber. And hello, Mum. And hello, Callum. I hope the drone job went okay, and I hope your new camera's good as well. Right, today is a day when I'm moving again, and today I am moving east to a place called Isparta, I-S-P-A-R-T-A, Isparta, as there's more rubble I want to go and see, more Roman and Greek ruins. So I've had a good couple of days here. I went to Ephesus yesterday, and I think the Turks call it Ephesus, and it was great. A bit expensive, 40 euros, but if you like history, that's a price you've got to pay. And it's huge, absolutely colossal. It's about 2 kilometres long from one end to the other, and they've still not opened up the whole site. There's still lots that they're digging out. And one of the beautiful things about it was there was a road that used to run down to the sea. Well, it was like a lagoon, then that lagoon would open up to the sea, but part of its downfall was the lagoon closed up and things started to die off. But the city itself, it started about 7,000 BC. People were recorded living there, but it came to prominence about 4 BC, a bit longer than that really, about about 3,500–4,000 years BC. And gradually over the years it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And in its heyday, probably at 1 BC, it was huge. There was a central walkway coming through the city, about 2 kilometres long. That in turn led down to a harbour. It was busy, merchants used to come from all over the place. And an amphitheatre that can hold about 22–24,000 people. This amphitheatre was colossal, absolutely. And it was also a centre of learning, a centre of culture. There was a big library there. The library, it's absolutely mind-boggling. It's huge, multi-storey, beautiful. There was baths, as they had viaducts bringing water in. They even had sewage systems, and a lot of the pipework is still there. They used to have terracotta pipes leading to the houses or to springs so people could get water. And it's just amazing that 1 BC this city was fully formed and it was functioning. In the big amphitheatre there used to be plays, music, recitals, even gladiatorial fights. Just on the outskirts, opposite the amphitheatre, there was a big gymnasium with a running track, or a big track anyway, with step seating all the way around. It was long and oval. They even used to have gladiatorial feats of endurance there as well. There was baths there, there was baths in the town, public toilets. And there was even a smaller amphitheatre just out of the city centre that could hold about 2,000 people, and apparently it was roofed as well. And just on the outskirts there was a huge big basilica, absolutely colossal. And this city wasn't discovered till about 1961, and that's when they started excavating it. Honestly, it was huge. So that was Ephesus, and it was occupied till about 600 BC, 700 BC, and there was a devastating earthquake that just levelled it. Like a lot of the historic places in this region, this earthquake about 600, not BC, AD, about 607 AD, it devastated the whole area. But and that's why a lot of these places ended up not being used anymore, and that's why everything's all broken up, because everything just shook and it all just fell down. So that's me. I'm heading east today at Sparta. I've got a little stop on the way, maybe 2 stops on the way, and I'll see how it goes. So probably about 350 kilometres today, but I'm headed inland, a little bit higher, so hopefully it'll be a little bit cooler as well. So I'm going to put the music on now, so I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye. Well, that was a bit of a blow. Doesn't open till 10 o'clock. So that place is called Magnesia. Magnesia. And so it was just another opportunity on the way. I was sort of kind of hoping it was free access. Now the place I went to yesterday opened at 8 o'clock in the morning. I was kind of hoping that this would open at 8, but no, it's 10 o'clock. It is what it is, but opens at 10. I'm not going to wait an hour, so I'm just going to press on and keep moving east. The campsite I stayed at yesterday was okay. It was 19 quid a night. The toilets and showers weren't very good, but it's in a holiday place. That town I was staying at, it's like a holiday resort, and everything to do with the holiday resort, it's always going to be more expensive, so I kind of expected it. Although what I have been finding at Troy, it was the same. That was about 19 quid a night. That was expensive as well. It's like anything that's near a touristy place, whoop, the prices go quite high. Been a bit of a shock so far. Food is really cheap, no problem at all, but anything else in Turkey is quite expensive actually, which is a wee bit worrying. So how does this work? I think I go this way. Yeah, I go this way. When I was at the campsite yesterday, there was no grass, it was just dirt, but electric was free. And I must admit, even though the showers and toilets were a bit grubby and a bit old, the water was hot. So past 2 nights I've been able to have a reasonably hot shower. Not too hot, it was too hot for that, but you know what I mean, sort of midway. But the tent next to me, there was a chap, Turkish guy with his son, and we got talking last night. Really nice guy. They're down for Istanbul, and he says, when you come to Istanbul, let me know, and I'll come and take you around Istanbul. Really nice guy, really nice guy. I found him with the Turks. They're very friendly, very open, very hospitable. The driving is a bit crazy, but it is what it is. So that's my little opportunity for some cultural stuff. That's gone straight out of the window because it was closed. So I'm going to keep heading east. I'll speak to you soon. I'm going to put some music on. Bye bye for now. And this is the ancient city of Laodicea. Oh, there it goes. Laodicea. And it was €12 to get in, which wasn't too bad. That's 12 euros, about 900 Turkish lira. And it was on the way. I was going to go past, but it was just off the motorway, so I thought, why not? Nope, no shade. that was Laodicea, and it was established about 340 BC. I can't remember the name of the emperor, but he commemorated the city, had the city built in memory of his wife who died, and it thrived for many years. A place of culture, of art, and also medical training. If you wanted to be a doctor, you came here to do your training. And it thrived until about 340 AD, where there was an earthquake. In fact, no, it was about 420 AD, had an earthquake, so they repaired it all. Just before then, about 350 AD, they built a massive big church, 3-storey church with lots of arches inside. It would have been beautiful. So they had an earthquake, and then they had a second earthquake about 600 AD, and that did for the city, really. That really did for it, and it never recovered after that. And they'd also been raided a few times by Arabs and other brigands, and then the town just sort of fizzled out, and that was it. But it would have been big in its heyday. There was one main street roughly going east to west, and several smaller streets going roughly north to south, and all the streets were paved with marble with sewers underneath. They had water, although the water went to one big cistern, and apparently they had to buy the water. So it's but no, it's interesting. I was passing it, so I thought, well, why not go and have a look at it? And it was only €12, I think it was. So I've just been walking around there for a couple of hours. God, it's hot. A wee bit hot, and I'm walking around with a t-shirt. I've got my motorcycle trousers on. Oh gosh. So next stop, heading east again. Speak to you soon. Hello.
Okay, what's coming? Welcome.
Thank you. Teşekkür ederim.
Rica ederim. Hayırlı günler.
Well, this is a country park, and also you're allowed to camp here as well. And it wasn't much actually. And I think the routine is here, you just park, camp anywhere you want to. Oh, look at that lake. I might go and dangle my feet in the lake in a little while. I think this will do. And hello the internet. And I left my campsite this morning and I forgot to change my batteries yesterday. When you're travelling you sort of get into a routine, but last night I was a bit tired and I forgot to change my batteries. Anyway, when I got up here I realised why I had not been recording. Anyway, I've just been to the ancient city of Sagalossos. That's it, Sagalossos. And it's built up here right in the mountains and it's absolutely amazing. It was built 1 AD by the Romans, and there was a large agora, like a square and a meeting place. Attached to that was the council offices, and on the square there was a big water fountain. I think it's called the Antonine Nymphanium. I think Antonine, they named things after particular people, but and there was fresh water coming out of there from the mountain. And besides that, there was also a library, big library, and the library's still there, or a good portion of it. There's a retaining wall at the back, and also the mosaic floor. And there was another well where people could get water, and then the houses were all built around it. There was even a gymnasium and a public bath and public latrine, and yeah, it was a thriving little place. But what amazes me is we are so high, and this was built in 1 AD, just up there, and yet where did all the people come from? Where did they get the stone? I would imagine they quarried the stone locally, but then they would have needed horses and manpower to move it all. Oh, absolutely mind-boggling, the sheer hard work that went into making something like that. And it's so high, so what it would have been like in winter I do not know, with the cold and the snow, and all the buildings are made of brick and stone. I don't know. And then you had summer where it's like this. So two extremes really, winter and summer. Must have been hard living there. But why choose there, right up in the mountains? So that was a good couple of hours. And last night I stayed just southwest of Isparta, however you say it, and it was like a community park, and you could camp there under the trees, and it was really nice and cool. I enjoyed it, and it was only 25 Turkish lira to stay, which is about 50 pence. Absolutely amazing. So when I got there yesterday, there was Turkish people, Turkish families all over, just barbecuing, eating, playing little games, having fun. It was like a carnival atmosphere, and there was even free Wi-Fi, and there were some toilets there, no showers though, so I had to make use of my wet wipes this morning. So where am I going now? I don't know, I'm going to come down off the mountain, and what are we now? We're actually, it's 20 past 1. God, I got there at 9 o'clock, and I've been there for 4 hours, just wandering around. I spent ages looking at one thing, and this chap come over, but it was a guide. We started talking, he could speak a little bit of English, but it was him who took me to where the library used to be. He opened it up and let me see what the ancient library was, and the mosaic floor. But the amphitheatre as well, overlooking everything, big amphitheatre. It must have been at least 4,000 or 5,000 people. It was quite big, and they'd just cut it into the hill. I just found it absolutely incredible. The grit, the determination, the hard work, with simple tools, with labour, with wood, and they would make these cities out of nothing. Amazing, absolutely amazing. It's weird, sometimes I just start lining myself up for an overtake, and then another car just pops around the corner. And this morning coming up here, I got stuck behind a never gonna give way. I got stuck behind a big cement mixer. Could I pass him? Could I? Hell, because the road's really windy, and every time I lined myself up, another car would just come around the corner. So it is what it is. And meant to have a look to see what the elevation was of that little city. It wasn't a big city, although I would imagine in Roman times it was a city, it was classed as a city. But it thrived for a few years. When Christianity arrived, about 200, 300, apparently there was a lot of statues at the Nymphanium, and a lot of statues were beheaded and they had their genitals removed because the Christians didn't think it was very good to see genitals, and also they thought that the statues were idolatry to the pagan gods, so by removing the heads that removed the pagan elements. So the statues that were there are just reproductions. But which way do I go now? This way, there we go. This seems like a good idea. But the city's demise came in 610 AD, when they had the big earthquake which decimated all the major cities in this part of Turkey. It must have been one Lulu of a earthquake, because all the major cities have been so far were all decimated by the same earthquake. It must have been big. And when you look at the way that a lot of the buildings were constructed, and then I was reading after the earthquake, a lot of the brickwork and marble was repatriated. Obviously it came down here to this town and set the foundations for this town. But what an absolute effort to make a city so high. And I mean, I can imagine, you know, I can understand why with some cities, because they're near the coast or whatever, but that city is just in the middle of absolutely nowhere. So what's this little place? I don't know. It's nice, isn't it? Oh, they've got all the streamers out. Look at the street lights, they're lovely, aren't they? Gosh, I'm thirsty. I could drink a bucket of cold water. There's a little cafe there just outside the entrance, and they were asking crazy. Right, I'm going to stop here, look at my map and see where I'm supposed to go. There we go. Yeah, I was on the right track. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get back to Isparta, because I need some food, and wouldn't mind a cold drink, to be honest. I think there's a big bottle of iced tea in one of the fridges with my name on it, definitely. So I'm going to go back to Isparta, get some food, get a cold drink. I'm going to find a bit of shade, and I'm going to work out whether to stay in this area for another night, or to head east, or to head north. I'm at a crossroads at the moment. I could head north, there's some things I want to see, or I could head east, because there's also some more things I want to see further east. So thanks for watching, and I'm going to put the music back on, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye. And good morning, the internet, and a very good morning to my subscriber. I hope you're very, very well on this sunny morning. So go, that's me out. I was the only camper in there last night. Yesterday I went to look at those ruins high up in the mountains, and because it was 1:30, it was just too late to go where I wanted to go next. So I thought I'll come back to this campsite. So I did. So I dropped into Sparta, got some food, some drinks, and a lovely ice cold bottle of lemon tea. It was beautiful. Got back here, got back to the campsite and spent a night there. It was lovely. There's no 4G signal there. Probably about 1.5G, just like Scotland really. It's so I was going to try and upload another video last night, but it just wouldn't go. I even struggled putting some pictures on Facebook, but there we go. Right, so I had a great night there. I mean, it was really busy when I got there. I mean, that campsite, well, that park, full of Turkish families enjoying themselves, and all of a sudden, about 9:30, there's a truck started going round with a siren, and then whoop, everybody went, and I was the only camper left. I got up this morning walking around, and it's like a ghost town. It was great. So today I am heading east. I'm going to a place called, I think it's called Gorem. Anyway, it's right in the centre of Turkey, and it's going to be a 500-kilometre ride. So the time now is 8 o'clock. I've got a full tank of gas, and I'm wearing a HJC helmet. It's and yeah, it's sunny again. What's the temperature at the moment? 21 degrees at the moment. So that'll go to about 30 by 10 o'clock, and then it'll just keep going up and up and up. Now, I was very tempted to head north towards the Black Sea because it's a little bit cooler there, but no, I'm going to go east because there's some things I want to see, and I'm going to persevere with the heat, and I'm going to go and see those things, and then once I've done those, I'll head north to the cooler Black Sea coast. Yeah, it was a good day yesterday. I just love old, you know, all the ancient ruins. I just love it, absolutely love it, and best place in the world to come and see it, to tell you the truth. The bike is running fine. Rear tyre's lovely. I'm not really happy with that front tyre, to be honest. You don't get much feeling from it. I remember on the Suzuki I put some Motos GPS tyres, and the rear was absolutely stunning tyre, but the front couldn't get on with it at all, and that's a similar sort of feeling with the front on this. I've been messing around with the pressures a little bit as well, so I've gone down and I've gone up, so I've gone back to standard again, and whatever I do with the pressures, it's still the same anyway, so no point in messing around. So here we go, and I'll put the music on, and then I'll speak to you soon. It's going to be a bit of a boring day today. I'm making up miles, so I'm going to be on the biggest, fastest roads that I can find. Speak to you soon, bye bye. Just as I was talking about the front tyre, all of a sudden my front wheel went sort of floppy, and I thought, it just felt like a puncture, and I thought, oh no, I don't believe it. So I pulled in, and my front tyre was about half flat, and I thought, that's weird. So I pulled it over, so got the compressor out, put some air in, Then I got on the road again. Then I stopped, checked the pressure, it was okay. So I didn't want to go too far from my Sparta in case it was a puncture. And so I've been sort of circling around. I've lost about half an hour really. And I kept stopping, checking the tyre pressure, and it's fine. So that was utterly weird. So from now on, I'm not going to talk about tyres. It's a bad omen. I'm not going to talk about tyres. So it's another warm day here in Turkey, and I am now heading east. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye. Okay. Okay, Teshikaredrim. And hello the internet, and hello to my subscriber, and hello to Sylvia. How you doing? If you need a pillion, you know where I am. Anyway, that was quite an uneventful ride. All the way, I'm slap bang in the centre of Turkey at the moment, and a place called Garim. And I'm here just to do two things really, which is to take a balloon ride. Now on the way down here, I'm not going to do the balloon ride. I'm not going to do it because I think it's a waste of money. It's going to be expensive. Anyway, I looked online, it wasn't that expensive, £55. So I've got myself booked on a balloon ride, and also about 30 minutes ride south of here, there's an underground city built about, I think it was 7 or 8 thousand years BC, and the people tunnelled underground, and there's a whole labyrinth of tunnels. There's about 9 kilometres of tunnels on 8 different levels going down, and they used to go and they dug down for 2 reasons: to keep warm in winter and to keep cool in summer, and also it added a little protection because it was easier to defend as well. But and those are the 2 reasons why I've come here. So it really was an uneventful ride today. Just slog. It was about 500 kilometres, and it was hot. It was very hot today. And the worst of it is it sort of reminded me of the Western Sahara and Mauritania, in that you want to do a break, and so what you're looking for as you're going down the road, you're just looking for shade, and the trees tend to be further off the road, and every time you do find a bit of shade, there's always a truck there or something like that, or several cars. So trying to find some shade for a break. So a few times I did stop, and I just left the bike at the side of the road, and I walked inland a little bit and just stood under a tree for some to cool down. So other than that, it was completely uneventful. So here for a couple of days, doing touristy things. So thanks for watching. Bye bye Sylvia, and bye bye everyone else. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.